shocking information and bombshell details today as we go inside the FBI criminal complaint against the man who attempted to kill Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. This is absolutely nuts. And we're going to read into the FBI's criminal complaint in just a bit. First, let's go outside Brett Kavanaugh's house, where, as you can see, there are a lot of police officers. Now, in Supreme Court justices' houses, it's not uncommon to see security outside, but you usually don't see this much. And this is because there was an attempt on the life of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh today. What happened? Well, I'm going to show you right now in the criminal complaint. Then I'm going to show you the person that's been arrested, the rhetoric that preceded this, and what's going to happen next. First, what does it say in the FBI criminal complaint? Well, it says, on June 8th, 2022, at approximately 1:05 a.m., two United States deputy marshals saw an individual dressed in black clothing and carrying a backpack and a suitcase get out of a taxi cab that had stopped in front of the Montgomery County, Maryland residence of a current justice of the United States Supreme Court. The individual looked at the two deputy U.S. marshals who were standing next to their parked vehicle and then turned to walk down the street. So he literally stopped right in front of the house of Justice Brett Kavanaugh. These officers were there, and he kind of awkwardly turned and walked down the street a little bit. Here's what happened next. Shortly thereafter, Montgomery County Emergency Communications Center fielded a call, this is 911, from an individual who identified himself as Nicholas John Roski. Roski informed the call taker that he was having suicidal thoughts and had a firearm in his suitcase. Roski also told the call taker he came from California to kill a specific United States Supreme Court justice. We now know that Supreme Court justice to be Brett Kavanaugh. The Montgomery County Police Department officers were dispatched to the location near the Supreme Court justice's residence, where they encountered Roski, who was still on the telephone with 911. Roski was taken into custody without incident, and law enforcement officers seized both the backpack and the suitcase that were still in his possession. So he went right to the front of Kavanaugh's house. Then he went over and called 911. 911 called the officers who had just encountered him that he walked away from, and they approached him once again and ended up arresting him. When they arrested this guy, and again, I'm going to show you what he looks like in a second, an inventory search of the seized suitcase and backpack revealed a black tactical chest rig and a tactical knife. So he had like a chest plate and a tactical knife, a Glock 17 pistol with 2 magazines and ammunition, pepper spray, zip ties, a hammer, screwdriver, nail punch, crowbar, pistol light, duct tape, hiking boots with padding on the outsides of the soles, and other items. After being transported to the Montgomery County Police Department 2nd District Precinct, a detective advised Roski of his constitutional rights. So they go, you have the right to remain silent and all that stuff. Rossi indicated he understood his rights, agreed to speak with the federal agents, and signed a written waiver to that effect. Roski then told the detective, this is important here, that he was upset about the leak of a recent Supreme Court draft decision regarding the right to abortion, as well as the recent school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Roski indicated he believed the justice that he intended to kill would side with Second Amendment decisions that would loosen gun control laws. Roski stated that he began thinking about how to give his life a purpose and decided he would kill the Supreme Court justice after finding the Justice Montgomery County address on the internet. Roski further indicated he purchased the Glock pistol and other items for the purpose of breaking into the justice's residence and killing the justice as well as himself. Then they finish it with, I conducted a second interview of Roski. Later on that night, I advised him of his rights. He admitted again he traveled to Montgomery County residence with the intent to break in the justice's house and to kill the justice and then himself. This is the guy in question that has been arrested and is going to be charged with attempted murder of Justice Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. This young man in his 20s over here is the person they have arrested. Now, where would all of this violent rhetoric and these ideas to make your life have a purpose to kill this Supreme Court justice come from? Let's go back to Chuck Schumer. He is the minority leader in the U.S. Senate, and here's what he had to say a little earlier this year.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
little bit of language there from Chuck Schumer. You've released the whirlwind and you will pay the price. Here is Elizabeth Warren around that same time.
Understand this. Understand this. I have seen the world where abortion is illegal. And we are not going back. Not ever. No. So say it with me. We are not going back. We are not going back. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever.
I am angry, she said out there. You even had this moment that you might remember at the White House with Jen Psaki before she left to go to MSNBC. And this reporter asked her, hey, what do you think about these protesters outside the Supreme Court justices' homes? Easy opportunity right here, a slam dunk, if you will, an alley-oop, if you will, where Psaki could have just said, yeah, we don't want people protesting outside these Supreme Court justices' homes. I mean, unless they did support that, here's how the back and forth went.
I do want to ask as well, I mean, the Department of Justice was very swift in responding to school board members who felt like they were being harassed and intimidated a couple months back. Does the president feel that the demonstrations outside of, say, Justice Alito's home, are those attempts to interfere or intimidate?
Real clear, that question. And by the way, in a second, I'm going to tell you what's happening tonight outside of Justice Brett Kavanaugh's house, despite what went down today.
Well, I think I said yesterday, but I'm happy to repeat because I think it's important for everybody to hear that the president's long-standing view has been that violence, threats, and intimidation of any kind have no place in political discourse. And we believe, of course, in peaceful protests. What I do find is interesting, and I think many people have noted, is that there are voices on the right who have called out this protests that are happening while remaining silent for years on protests that have happened outside of the homes of school board members, the Michigan Secretary of State, or including threats made to women seeking reproductive health care, or even an insurrection against our Capitol. So I know that there's an outrage right now, I guess, about protests that have been peaceful to date, and we certainly continue to encourage that outside of judges' homes, and that's the president's position. But the silence is pretty deafening about all of the other intimidation that we've seen to a number of people.
So the message overall from the White House at the time was, hey, these are nonviolent protests, no big deal. We're not going to tell these people to go home. They explicitly were offered opportunities to say, should these people leave the Supreme Court justices' front yards, or is it okay for them to protest there? Why is this a big deal? Well, a former Wisconsin judge was just killed in a targeted shooting, and there was others on this person's hit list. The judge was found zip-tied to a chair and fatally shot. As a matter of fact, if you go back into the things that they found in the case of this guy who was arrested, among those things, you see like duct tape and you see zip ties that this person also had. Maybe an attempt to mimic this other attack right here. So after all of this, is everybody calming down or cooler heads prevailing? No, in fact, Ruth sent us, this organization that goes after a lot of the Supreme Court justices, or particular Supreme Court justices. These are right-aligned Supreme Court justices, you might say. They plan to continue on with their protest tonight outside Brett Kavanaugh's house. So just to reiterate, a man attempted to kill Justice Brett Kavanaugh. He almost got away with it. He was just steps away from walking into the house or engaging with the law enforcement who were outside of Justice Kavanaugh's house. And still, despite the fact that there's been an arrest here, despite the fact that the FBI says that this guy was a very dangerous person and that something wild happened here or nearly happened here, they're still going to keep these protests going outside of the Supreme Court justices' houses. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this guy ever intended to do this? Or do you think that he just went there as a cry out for help? Let me know what your thoughts are. Facebook.com/TheNewsJunkie. Hit that follow button. YouTube.com/TheNewsJunkie. Hit subscribe. Thanks, as always, for watching. I'll hang out with you in the comments. We'll talk to you again real soon.